Everybody that I've ever worked with is a part of my being here tonight to accept this award.
People always believed that Gleason and Meadows were one of the most perfect duos on American television due to their brilliant chemistry in The Honeymooners. But behind the scenes, their relationship was far from the sweetness people imagined. Because when the cameras stopped rolling, many said that Gleason transformed into a different person, cold, hot-tempered, and full of arrogance. Before her passing, Audrey Meadows, the woman who played Jackie's devoted wife in the show, decided to break her silence. She wrote it all in her final memoir. Jackie scared me to the point where I no longer wanted to step on stage. He always used contemptuous words, criticizing me harshly. Audrey recounted that on some filming nights, Jackie would get so angry that he smashed props and then turned to berate her just for missing the rhythm of a single line. He wanted to control everything she said, and when he couldn't, he turned his anger into a weapon. These words shocked audiences. Could it be that between these two stars there was a silent war no one knew about? And what really happened behind the scenes of The Honeymooners? Explore it in the video. In 1951, Audrey Meadows stepped into the studio of The Jackie Gleason Show, and she was immediately captivated by Jackie Gleason's confidence and explosive energy. At that time, Audrey Meadows auditioned for The Honeymooners, her heart full of hope. The role of Alice Cramden, the wife of Ralph, was a major opportunity to establish herself on American television. However, Jackie Gleason, the star and showrunner, glanced at her for a few seconds and shook his head. He thought Audrey looked too polished, too elegant to portray a working-class Brooklyn housewife. That decision deeply hurt Audrey, but instead of giving up, she resolved to prove Jackie wrong. The next day, she returned for a second audition. No makeup, wearing an old robe and with disheveled hair. When Jackie saw her, he paused and then smiled. "All right, now that's Alice." From that moment, the relationship between Audrey and Jackie began a relationship marked by both respect and tension, admiration and conflict. As the showrunner, Jackie was extremely demanding. He could yell at the entire crew over a minor mistake, and no one dared to argue back. Audrey understood this well. She once told a close friend, "If you want to survive in Jackie Gleason's world, you have to be strong enough to keep up with him, but not so strong that he feels threatened." On set, she always maintained a calm, even gentle demeanor, though inside she was seething with frustration over the unfairness. Jackie was undeniably a natural talent. No one, not even Audrey, could deny that. She once called him a stage genius, someone who could turn any situation into laughter. But in later interviews, Audrey was also candid. He was a bully. Jackie could be generous and friendly one day, then cold and cruel the next. His unpredictability kept the backstage atmosphere constantly tense. Once Jackie flew into a rage just because Audrey forgot a minor line, throwing the script on the floor and storming off mid-shoot. She endured it silently and then continued working as if nothing had happened. In the early days, they laughed together, and Audrey believed she had found a colleague worthy of respect. But behind the smiles and compliments, Gleason revealed himself to be a man who always wanted to hog the spotlight. Tensions began to simmer when Audrey suggested ideas for the script. During a meeting, she proposed adding a humorous line to highlight Alice's character. Gleason, with his signature smirk, cut her off. "Audrey, leave the comedy to me. You just need to be the good wife." Those words were like a slap to her pride. Audrey, a talented actress who had learned from her lawyer brothers and was confident in her abilities, felt belittled. She gritted her teeth and kept working, but each time Gleason controlled the set according to his whims, the respect she had for him eroded a little more. Gleason's work habits further frustrated Audrey. He hated rehearsing, insisting on running through the script only once to keep it fresh. One day when Audrey suggested extra rehearsals to perfect a scene of Ralph and Alice arguing, Gleason snapped Audrey, "Do you think? I don't know what I'm doing, just do it my way." His tone stunned her. During the first taping, Meadows broke down in tears from the stress. Joyce Randolph, her co-star, later recalled Audrey was shocked at how little rehearsal time we had. She cried during the first episode. Afterwards, she spent hours memorizing lines and practicing her delivery to bring Alice to life. But for Gleason, everything had to revolve around him. Audrey began to see him not as the comedy genius the press hailed, but as a selfish man who wanted to be the only star. Rumors of Gleason's arrogance further embittered Audrey. She heard that he had told producers she was too pretty to play Alice, and that he had saved her career by casting her. During a confrontation in the break room, Audrey couldn't hold back. "Jackie, did you say I wasn't good enough for this role but kept me out of pity?" Gleason laughed loudly and patted her shoulder. "Audrey, don't be so sensitive. I just wanted Alice to be mine." Those words, though delivered playfully, enraged her. She was no one's possession, and her resentment began to take root, growing deeper each day. The unfair treatment fueled Audrey's anger even more. Gleason was constantly celebrated by the press, hailed as the king of comedy, while Audrey, who contributed half of the Honeymooners' success, was only referred to as Ralph's wife. At a promotional event, a reporter asked her, "What's it like working with Jackie Gleason?" Audrey wanted to scream, "Ask me about Alice, ask about my work." But she only smiled and gave a curt response. Meanwhile, a few steps away, Gleason was holding court, talking about his brilliant ideas, as if Audrey and Art Carney had contributed nothing. Her resentment was no longer just personal, it stemmed from feeling sidelined. The tension peaked when Audrey demanded royalties in her Honeymooners contract. On the advice of her lawyer brother, she requested that CBS pay her for each rerun, a rare move at the time. Gleason fiercely opposed it, calling her greedy during a meeting. Audrey, unable to hold back, retorted, "Jackie, I'm not greedy. I just want to be paid fairly, like you." The room fell silent. Gleason didn't respond, but his cold glare said it all. He wouldn't forgive her audacity. From then on, their relationship grew distant, reduced to forced professionalism on screen. Despite hiding her resentment, Audrey delivered flawless performances in the fake kissing scenes, with Gleason moments the audience believed were heartfelt. But every time he said, "Baby, you're the greatest," as Ralph, she wanted to turn away. She kept smiling, kept acting, but the bitterness had taken deep root. She hated how Gleason controlled everything from the script to how the audience perceived the Honeymooners. She hated that he was celebrated as a hero, while she, the heart of Alice, was seen as a mere accessory. After the Honeymooners ended, Audrey Meadows felt like she had emerged from a storm. Exhausted and drained, she wanted to escape the towering shadow of Jackie Gleason. Though the show had made them both television icons for Audrey, each episode was a silent battle between patience and pride. When invited to join a new show produced by Jackie, she simply said, "No thank you. I've had enough of Jackie Gleason for a lifetime." Jackie, with his massive ego and erratic personality, believed Audrey would return whenever he called. He was wrong. When his secretary contacted her to reprise the role of Alice for a special project, Audrey only laughed softly over the phone. "I was Alice once, but Alice is gone. I'm not coming back, especially not with Ralph Cramden still there." Then she hung up without hesitation. From then on, she turned down every script tied to Jackie's name, no matter how high the paycheck. It wasn't until 1987, when Gleason was on his deathbed with cancer, that Audrey called out of a sense of duty to the legacy of the Honeymooners. Marilyn Gleason's wife handed him the phone. Audrey said, "Jackie, it's Audrey, your Alice." He mumbled something, then suddenly said clearly, "I knew what I was doing." That voice, resonant like a bell, reminded her of the days he dominated her. She wanted to ask why he always pushed her into the background, but she stayed silent. After his death, she refused to deliver a eulogy, as Alice at the 1988 Emmy Awards, saying it wouldn't be right. Her resentment was never publicly voiced, but lingered in the pages of her memoir, Love Alice, like a painful whisper. Even so, the behind the scenes of the show held many fascinating truths. Fans often sent letters to Audrey Meadows with advice on how to handle Ralph, some even suggesting she give him a good smack to teach him a lesson. This reflected the show's impact on audiences and their attachment to the characters. Additionally, Joyce Randolph, who played Trixie Norton, was the last surviving main cast member until her passing in 2024, marking the end of a classic television era. Another interesting tidbit is that in The Honeymooners, the kissing scenes between Ralph and Alice Cramden, often featured at the end of episodes, became an iconic blend of romance and humor in their marital dynamic. However, according to Audrey Meadows, who played Alice, those kisses weren't real. In an interview, she revealed that they only stood close and mimed kissing to create a romantic illusion for the audience without actually kissing. Notably, The Honeymooners reflected an era in television history where the personal conflicts and personalities of the actors directly shaped the final product. The story of Gleason and Meadows is a testament to how artistic creation sometimes comes with tension and disagreement, but those very conflicts contributed to the show's uniqueness and enduring legacy. Overall, this sitcom was not just entertainment, but a vivid portrait of acting creativity and the complex relationships within the 1950s American television industry. After Audrey's revelations in her memoir, colleagues like Joyce Randolph and Art Carney spoke up, defending Audrey while emphasizing that Jackie's methods weren't bullying, but rather his rules, a frenetic pace that created comedic magic. Joyce Randolph, who played Trixie Norton, recalled those days on set with a smile tinged with unease. She said Audrey was stunned that they only had one script read through on Saturdays before performing live in front of hundreds of audience members. Audrey had to memorize everyone's lines, Joyce said, her voice full of admiration. We'd sneak into her dressing room to rehearse extra because Jackie wanted everything fresh, like it was happening for the first time. Joyce defended Audrey, stressing that no one was bullied by Jackie, but his work pace was like a whirlwind. She recounted a time when a guest actor, unaccustomed to the pressure, vomited backstage from nerves. "It was terrifying," Joyce said, "but that was Jackie's way. He wanted us to live in the moment with no chance for do-overs." Art Carney, the close co-star who played Ed Norton, also spoke up after Audrey, his warm voice tinged with respect for Gleason. He shared that Jackie insisted on minimal rehearsals, believing repetition would kill the flavor of the comedy. Audrey was a true professional, Art said, his eyes lighting up as he remembered her. "She helped me keep up with Jackie, even though sometimes I felt like I was running a marathon." Art admitted the tension drove him to drink more, but he didn't call it bullying. Jackie was a demanding genius. He pushed us to our limits, but that's what made The Honeymooners. Art and Audrey often rehearsed privately in the dressing room, turning pressure into energy, and they took pride in passing Jackie's trial by fire. But behind The Honeymooners' glamour, Jackie Gleason's life was a different story filled with dark corners. He lived like a whirlwind, unrestrained and indulgent. Jackie was a heavy alcoholic capable of downing a bottle of Scotch whiskey in a single night of partying until dawn. He smoked up to 5 packs of cigarettes a day and ate excessively, reaching a weight of 130 kg, which ravaged his health. His legendary parties in Manhattan hotel suites featured Dixieland bands playing all-night free drinks for guests and tips to staff equivalent to a week's salary. But sometimes alcohol made him unpredictable. He once vomited on someone while drunk or asked women to do bizarre acts for entertainment, leaving friends both awed and wary. In his television career, Gleason also faced notable controversies. His 1961 game show, You're in the Picture, flopped spectacularly from its first episode due to its strange and unappealing format. To address it, Gleason appeared in the next episode to apologize to the audience, a rare move at the time. Infidelity was also inseparable from Jackie's story. He married 3 times, each marriage marred by scandal. With his first wife, Genevieve, he cheated with his secretary, Honey Merrill, leading to a divorce after 34 years, though they had long been separated. With his second wife, Beverly, he quickly returned to Marilyn, a dancer who had been his mistress while married to someone else. They married and stayed together until his death. But Marilyn said Jackie often neglected his wife and children's emotions, spending only a few minutes with his daughter at Christmas before diving into parties. He was rumored to pay young women, and when drunk, he sometimes became malicious, making colleagues cautious. Jackie's parties were the talk of the town. He hosted all-night bashes in Manhattan, drinking with figures like Frank Sinatra or even Richard Nixon, who once took him to see a UFO in a bizarre tale. Hotels had to soundproof his rooms due to the noise, and Jackie, scotch in hand, lived as if burning through every moment. But alcohol made him unpredictable some nights. He was a jovial friend. Others he left staff sweating bullets with sudden outbursts. His life, full of extravagance yet chaos, led friends to call him the Great One, both in admiration and regret. Jackie's life ended tragically, like a sad film he directed himself. He died in 1987 at 71 from colon cancer that spread to his liver after years of destroying his body with alcohol, cigarettes, and overeating. He hid his illness, continuing to drink and smoke until the end, as if defying fate. Raised in poverty, losing his father at 9 and his brother at 3, Jackie carried a fear of hell from his Catholic upbringing. Before his death, he worried about his sins but didn't stop. His will sparked controversy, originally leaving assets to his wife, Marilyn, daughter, and secretary Sidell, but he later revised it to exclude Sidell, breaking her heart. His funeral in Florida drew thousands, but his siblings didn't attend, resentful of his long abandonment of family. Here is the translation into English, preserving the original paragraphs without changes or line breaks. To understand why Audrey Meadows became a legendary Hollywood star, one must look back at her journey. Audrey Meadows, born Audrey Cotter on February 8, 1922, came from a minister's family in New York. Her father, Francis James. Meadows Cotter was an English missionary active in China, while her mother, Ida Miller Taylor, was a teacher. Audrey's childhood was intertwined with the East. As a young child, she lived in Wuchang, Hubei Province, China, and learned to speak Chinese before English. In 1927, the Meadows family returned to the United States, settling in Massachusetts, where Audrey attended Barrington School for Girls. Her childhood was a blend of strict education, religion, and a free artistic spirit inspired greatly by her older sister, Jane Meadows, who later also became an actress. From a young age, Audrey displayed a natural artistic talent, particularly in singing. As a teenager, she studied vocal music and performed at Carnegie Hall as a coloratura soprano, a remarkable achievement for a young opera talent at the time. However, instead of pursuing classical music, Audrey was drawn to the theater and the lights of Broadway. She quickly left opera to join light musical productions like Roberta, Anything Goes, and No No Nanette in the Civic Light Opera system. It was here that Audrey learned to command the stage master facial expressions and connect with audiences' skills that later defined her success on the small screen. Audrey's theater career took off when she was cast in the Broadway production Top Banana alongside comedian Phil Silvers. The role earned her critical acclaim and paved the way for television. In the early 1950s, Audrey appeared in The Bob and Ray Show, a popular comedy series where she was the only female actress alongside comedians Bob and Ray. Her graceful and skillful handling of comedic timing and situations left a strong impression on American audiences at the time. The true turning point in her life came in 1955 when Audrey was invited to play Alice Cramden in the classic comedy series The Honeymooners by Jackie Gleason. Initially, she was rejected for being too beautiful for the role of a working-class Brooklyn housewife. Undeterred, Audrey hired a photographer, transformed herself into a tired-looking woman in a simple apron, and sent the photos to the producers. Her persistence and intelligence secured her the defining role. The Honeymooners quickly became a phenomenon on American television, and the character of Alice Smart, resilient yet deeply affectionate, left an indelible mark on millions of viewers. The role of Alice Cramden brought Audrey Meadows fame and a prestigious Emmy Award. She became an icon of 1950s American women, the devoted wife who stood her ground unafraid to push back against her hot-tempered husband, Ralph Cramden. In an era when women on television were often portrayed as submissive, Audrey's role was a breath of fresh air. From her facial expressions and tone to her comedic timing, Audrey exuded a natural confidence that made the character both lovable and admirable. Moreover, she was one of the few actors of her time savvy enough to demand royalties for reruns, a move most of her peers overlooked. After The Honeymooners, Audrey didn't stop. She continued appearing in popular television shows like Alfred Hitchcock Presents and films such as That Touch of Mink, 1962, with Doris Day, and Take Her, She's Mine, 1963, with Jimmy Stewart. Her career spanned multiple genres, from comedy and drama to guest appearances on hit entertainment programs. In the 1980s, Audrey returned to the small screen in the sitcom Too Close for Comfort, playing the mother-in-law of the main character portrayed by Ted Knight, a supporting role that still left an impression on audiences. Beyond acting, Audrey proved her capabilities in business. She served as a director of the First National Bank of Denver for over a decade, one of the first women to hold such a high position in the American banking industry. Additionally, she advised Continental Airlines, contributing to the design of uniforms, cabin interiors, and airport lounges, showcasing her aesthetic taste and innovative spirit rare for a television star. In 1994, Audrey published her memoir, Love Alice, My Life as a Honeymooner, recounting her journey from a young girl who loved singing to a national television star. The book was not just an autobiography, but a love letter to her audience and colleagues who helped create the golden age of American television. In it, Audrey expressed clear gratitude toward Jackie Gleason while candidly sharing the pressures and joys of her over 4-decade-long career. Audrey's personal life was relatively private and childless. She married twice. Her first marriage in 1956 to Randolph Rouse, a real estate businessman, lasted only 2 years and produced no children. In 1961, Audrey married Robert F. Six, the president of Continental Airlines, and they lived happily together until his death in 1986. Though she had no children, Audrey cherished her family and pets, particularly small dogs like miniature poodles or teacups, treating them as cherished members of her life. Audrey's personal life reflected the caution and discretion she applied to her career. She avoided scandals and maintained a polished professional image in public. This helped her uphold a stellar reputation in the entertainment industry, earning respect from colleagues and friends. Audrey also proved that a female actress could be both glamorous on screen and independent in her personal life. In her final years, Audrey Meadows faced lung cancer due to years of smoking. Diagnosed in 1995, she declined aggressive treatments, opting for palliative care to maintain her quality of life. Audrey passed away on February 3, 1996, just 5 days before her 74th birthday at Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles. She was laid to rest at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City next to her second husband, Robert F. Six, leaving behind deep sorrow for her family, friends, and fans. Before her death, Audrey Meadows had an estimated net worth of about $5 million, primarily from her acting career and royalties from the Honeymooners reruns. She was the only original cast member with a royalties agreement, which allowed her to amass significant income and maintain a stable life for years. Beyond television earnings, Audrey also had personal investments and valuable possessions contributing to her wealth. Details about the distribution of Audrey Meadows' estate after her death were not widely publicized. However, some personal items, such as signed memorabilia and rare books, were preserved and auctioned, showing she left behind both material and sentimental value. Though childless, Audrey left a rich legacy through her memories' influence in the entertainment industry and the respect of colleagues and fans. Audrey Meadows' legacy lies not only in her iconic role as Alice Cramden, but also in her admirable professionalism, intelligence, humility, and timeless resilience. She proved that a woman could be both graceful and strong, both an artist and a leader. Her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame is not just a tribute to a classic role, but a recognition of a generation of women who carved their own paths in a male-dominated entertainment world. Perhaps what surprised audiences most were Audrey Meadows' late-life revelations about Jackie Gleason, her co-star of many years. Behind the image of the funny, powerful man on screen were hidden truths few knew: his perfectionism, pressures, outbursts, and the loneliness of a television legend. Audrey once said that Gleason was a genius, full of contradictions, capable of making an entire set laugh uncontrollably, or silencing everyone with a single glance. Her revelations not only exposed the true nature of a star, but also showed her deep empathy for the man who helped her create the legend of the Honeymooners. When we hear Audrey's final words about Jackie, the question isn't just who was he really, but also what makes great artists live in the tension between light and shadow. Share your thoughts below about the story Audrey told. If you want to keep exploring the little-known behind-the-scenes stories of Hollywood legends, hit the subscribe button to dive deeper with me into the world behind the stage lights, where the true selves of stars are gradually revealed.